The Trump administration is ramping up its war on blue cities with plans for major immigration crackdowns. Politico reports that the Trump administration is planning a surge in immigration enforcement in Boston soon. In Chicago, the planned immigration enforcement could come next week with agents from Immigration and Customs Enforcement, the Border Patrol, and other federal agencies taking place. DHS has also asked to use a Chicago-era naval base for facilities, infrastructure, and other logistical needs. It comes as President Trump continues to threaten to deploy the National Guard to Chicago, but Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker says he still hasn't heard anything from the administration.
No one in the administration, the president or anybody under him, has called anyone in my administration and me have not called the city of Chicago or anyone else. So it's clear that in secret they're planning this. Well, it's an invasion with U.S. troops if they in fact do that.
Neera Tanden and George Conway are still with us. We had Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, on the show last week, and he said the same thing. He has not heard from the administration. I want to pull up a full screen to help play for this conversation from President Barack Obama. He used to work for during his administration. The erosion of basic principles like due process and the expanding use of our military on domestic soil puts the liberties of all Americans at risk and should concern Democrats and Republicans alike. That and just more federal agents on the streets of America feel like, when you talk to Republicans and Democrats, feels like a ploy to get people used to that, used to the idea of that. When you're walking around the streets, whether it's ICE, HSI, whether it's the ATF, a bunch of FBI agents, or actual National Guard or Marines in L.A., getting us all used to that. Neera.
Yeah, I think we should be really worried that Donald Trump is basically trying to create a kind of personal paramilitary force. Some people have talked about this. And I think the real concern is that he is basically trying to federalize local law enforcement, federalize activities in the streets to intimidate people, to make people, scared. I mean, in the streets of Washington, I recently saw a protest of about 20 people and at DuPont Circle, and there were literally 10 to 15 police cars around just a small protest. And I just think what's so fascinating to me about this, and perhaps George can illuminate us, because Republicans used to be against federal government overreach. I cannot think of a greater demonstration of federal government overreach than hundreds of billions of dollars to ICE to basically go into cities and use the National Guard and perhaps the military in blue cities across the country. This is something that out of a dystopian novel. And so fundamentally, I do think it'll take Republicans. I don't expect that to happen. But I also do think this is part of the reason why you're seeing protests across the country.
And people like Barack Obama speaking out, which is not something he is want to do often.
And he did not speak out like this as early as this and as in the first Trump administration.
Right. George, I want now you to play the lawyer for a second. A lot of Republicans say, people voted for this. But what they didn't vote for is to have their basic rights completely denied. What do you see has happened to due process?
Well, I think that Trump is, he's taking the view that all legal process, not just due process for people who are being taken off the streets. I think he's taking the view that basically virtually all legal process is illegitimate. And that's, he attacked the court yesterday for striking down tariffs. I mean, this is really about authoritarianism at the end of the day. All this about policing and taking control of police in the cities. I mean, this is the authoritarian's playbook. I mean, in Germany in 1933, one of the first things that Hitler did was he made Hermann Goering head of the police in the state of Prussia. All right, they started taking over local police forces. They want control of the streets. They want to be able to stop protests at the end of the day. This is what this is headed for. And, here in the city of Washington, what this is about is, it is about, like, if Donald Trump had control of the of the policing in the District of Columbia on January 6, 2021, the way he seeks to have it today, yeah, he would have called the National Guard in, and he would have sent them straight up to Capitol Hill to stop the voting of the counting of electoral votes.
The MPD is who got there before the National Guard was there and helped stop January 6th.
When we're talking about the normalization, which you mentioned, Eugene, Governor Gavin Newsom issued this warning that I want to play about Trump's long-term plans with the National Guard.
He will send the National Guard. He will send them all across this country, and he will do so through Election Day. And he'll do so working in concert, as he has with ICE and Border Patrol, to do the same. You have the largest private police force in the world. People actually think this guy's serious about having another election? You think he's joking about 2028? Wake up. You will lose your country.
He said he will do so through Election Day, and that's a warning that Governor Pritzker has also issued. Neera, do you agree? Do you think that this is about having militarized forces on the ground around Election Day 2026?
I mean, in 2018, I think this is a very, interesting things happen. For example, in 2018, they put a massive show of force of ICE and Border Patrol in El Paso, a kind of bastion of Democratic votes. And during the Texas Senate race, I think they have a playbook, which is to intimidate voters. And I deeply worry that they are trying to normalize having a large police force on the streets during the elections. Now, I personally don't think it will work. I do think Democrats will, walk on broken glass to vote against Donald Trump in the elections. But I do think we should all be deeply, deeply worried about what is happening in the country. And, if someone had told every American a year ago that there would be National Guard and militarized forces and in the Capitol and in Los Angeles and going to other states, that would have been deeply scary.
Yeah. I want to play, we're out of time, but I want to play Senator Thom Tillis talking about Trump's D.C. deployment before we leave.
Where do we stop? Do we honestly think that D.C. has the worst crime problem in the United States? No, it's got a crime problem. But where do we go from here? Do we go to Gary, Indiana, Detroit, pick some red state, go to Memphis, a red state, it's got a crime problem. Where do we go?
Some Republicans speaking out. Neera Tanden and George Conway, thank you both for spending part of your morning with us.